March 2025 was an amazing month of reading. I discovered a new favorite book. I reread an amazing Stephen King novel that I have an even higher opinion of now that I have reread it. And I started and finished an amazing, unsettling, disturbing manga. In terms of quality, March 2025 was one of the best months of reading ever. In terms of quantity, it could have been much better, but I'm willing to forgive my lower reading output because I really enjoyed everything that I read. Let's talk about it. The first book I read in March was Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This is a booktube darling. Everyone sings such high praises about this book. I was going into it prepared to be disappointed. I was prepared to be underwhelmed. I was of the belief that if everyone's saying a book is okay, it's probably just a peer pressure thing. It's probably just the masses agreeing that something that's pretty good is an absolute masterpiece. And I'm happy to say, Lonesome Dove, it's every bit as good as people are saying it is. There is a reason why it's a classic. There's a reason why it won the Pulitzer Prize years ago, and it holds up. I don't even read Westerns, and Lonesome Dove easily entered into my top 5 favorite books of all time. I uploaded a video about Lonesome Dove earlier this week, link to that in the description below. Needless to say, it is a masterpiece. I am a characters first reader. I don't care how amazing the world building is. I don't care how interesting the setting, how amazing the plot is. If I don't care about the characters, the book's not amazing for me. It's not memorable. But I can say, I could easily, without lying to you, without exaggeration, say, I will remember Lonesome Dove forever. It is truly a timeless work of fiction. And it single-handedly made me want to start reading Westerns as a genre. Westerns have not been my thing, but do not be surprised if more Westerns are on my monthly wrap-up videos. The second story I finished in March 2025 was a manga series, The Flowers of Evil by Shuzo Oshimi. This is my third Oshimi series, and it is my favorite. It is an absolute masterpiece. It is dark and disturbing and unsettling and thought-provoking and relatable, and it just creeps me out, but in a good way. I binged this entire series, all volumes of it, in about 4.5 days. I have no regrets. This manga series will make you cringe. It'll make you unsettled. It'll make you want to take a shower, and it's really a story about manipulation. It's a story about taking advantage of somebody. It follows a young man, middle school or high school age. He gets caught by one of his peers who starts to blackmail him and force him to do things that he does not want to do. And it leads to trauma. And it leads to very dark, unsettling things. And these traumatic events affect this man's life. They affect the way he grows up. It affects his relationship. It affects his family. It is really so depressing, so stark, so dismal, but somehow it is inspiring at points. Before I read The Flowers of Evil, my favorite Shuzo Oshimi series was Blood on the Tracks. That was amazing. But The Flowers of Evil is one level, one tier above. There is no fat in this series. The pacing is breakneck. You'll finish a volume in less than an hour. I finished it in a few days. It might be my favorite manga series of all time. I think I just like to be disturbed. I like to be unsettled. I think if you are a fan of Stephen King, you will be a fan of Shuzo Oshimi. They talk about a lot of similar themes, and both of them write young, adolescent, teenage characters so well. You should definitely give The Flowers of Evil a try if that sounds like your thing, but definitely check for triggers beforehand. On March 22nd, I finished my first short story collection ever. I'm new to short stories, but I finally finished Night Shift by Stephen King. Stephen King is my favorite author. This is my first short story collection, so I thought it was fitting that I would read one of Stephen King's collections first. I read the first few stories in Night Shift in March of 2024. They were okay, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I returned to it. I binged the last 12 short stories of this collection, and I had a very positive reaction to most of them. Stephen King had a lot of range in this collection. There's the funny, zany, random short stories like The Lawnmower Man, Battlegrounds, and Trucks, and also short stories that are kind of like interesting but not quite terrifying like Quitter's Inc. Quitter's Inc. was very thought-provoking. There's also some very introspective, moving, disturbing short stories, like The Man Who Loved Flowers, The Woman in the Room, The Last Rung on the Ladder, The Ledge. The Ledge had me cringing. The Ledge had me filled of anxiety, anticipation, and terror. Stephen King, I now understand why so many people consider him to be a master of the short story. The next short story collection I read is probably going to be Different Seasoned, because that's a collection of 4 Stephen King novellas, and I'm liking his short fiction. In the closing hours of March 2025, I finished The Wasteland by Stephen King, his third installment in his epic Dark Tower series. This is technically, or actually, it's a reread for me. I read The Wasteland my first time in 2020, but if I'm being honest, I don't remember it very much. I had a competition that week, so I was severely dehydrated. I was traveling. I was not sleeping well. I was cutting weight. I was starving. I was listening to it mostly on audiobook, and a lot of it just kind of flew by. I didn't absorb too much of The Wasteland. Nevertheless, I remember thinking very positively about this book. But after binging it, 75% of it in about 2 days, it is amazing. I dare say it is my favorite Stephen King book. Up until this point, up until this reread, I would have said that The Drawing of the Three was my favorite Stephen King novel. The Wasteland is better. It is epic. Stephen King covers so much ground. The Fellowship, the quartet, the epic group of individuals that are united in their purpose, in their journey towards Dark Tower, they're all together. And the journey has just now begun. I'm definitely going to be reading Wizard and Glass in April. I love the weird, whimsical tone of the Dark Tower. I love how stark and desperate and gloomy and depressing it is, while also leaving a lot of room for hope and for all those tender moments and for those cozy moments sometimes. I love the character interactions. I love the dialogue. I love Stephen King's interesting dialect of English that's very prevalent in his Dark Tower universe. I love being able to connect the dots between all of Stephen King's other books, because Stephen King's bibliography exists in a giant multiverse, and the Dark Tower series is at the center, and you will get so much more out of the Dark Tower series if you've read Stephen King's other works. But even if you have no idea, you've read nothing else from Stephen King, the Dark Tower series, it is well worth your time. I can't wait to finish it before the final half of 2025. I really enjoyed everything I read in March, but clearly the book of the month has to be Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. I loved The Wasteland. It is absolutely amazing. But Lonesome Dove, I can't imagine a timeline where I somehow forget that book. I've read The Wasteland twice and now I can appreciate it, but Lonesome Dove is it's just that good. What can I say? If the quality of my reads in March were so good, why was the quantity so low? Usually, when I read great books, it gives me more energy, more motivation to read even more. It helps me build a lot of momentum as a reader. But I tried something out. I filmed a TBR video in February about the books I wanted to read in March. And I thought I was prepared for it. I thought I was ready to follow a monthly TBR, despite knowing that historically, I don't do good at following a monthly reading schedule. And March 2025 just further proved that I will not be filming any more TBR videos, because they really stifle me. They give me a lot of anxiety. They make it hard for me to read. I feel like I have a lot of pressure. I even set goals in terms of what videos I want to film in March, and I could not handle the pressure. And I'm just not going to be doing that. Every month, I'm going to be flying by the seat of my pants. I'm going to film the things I want to film. I'm going to make videos about the things I want to talk about. I'm just going to have to make peace with the fact that I'm not good at accomplishing monthly goals. Annual goals, I do very well with, but monthly goals, too short term, too much anxiety, too much pressure. I won't be making those mistakes again. Some analytics before you go. March was the best month in terms of watch hours in the channel's history. Most of the watch hours were from a video that I uploaded in the end of February, my video about why we should read more fiction. I think it's one of my best videos. I see why I performed very well. I also filmed and uploaded a video in March where I talked about elitism in the bookish community. And that video was a little bit more sassy, a little bit more snarky, but I cited my sources, and that video got over 100 watch hours, so I'm ecstatic about that. I'm about halfway to being monetized already in 2025, so I think monetization is definitely on the horizon. The channel reached a lot of new viewers, analytics were through the roof, watch hours were through the roof. The first quarter of 2025 could not have gone any better, but I truly believe that we're just now building momentum. I think the best months are yet to come. I can't wait to see where the channel is going to be by the end of 2025. I look forward to seeing what the stories have in store for me. And I think it's going to continue to be an amazing year.